Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Russell Jackman. Hopefully, Vern Glenn will
Only
join us.
co-host right now.
That's right, exactly. Hopefully, Vern will join us in the next segment. Let's see here. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. And today's theme is baseball hard questions. Why? Because baseball is in a very difficult situation right now. The owners, the union.
They've put themselves in a difficult situation. Let's correct this.
Okay.
Say that, other sports are in a difficult position, but they're trying to get out of it. And baseball is trying to dig itself in deeper and make things maybe irreparable, perhaps forever.
But what's the difference between this, baseball versus basketball and football?
When you hear basketball players talking about putting together the rest of the season, 99% of the discussion is about safety and how they can do this as safely as possible without getting the players infected. Baseball players have not spent 1 minute talking about safety.
Well, maybe because, again, there's very little interaction between players while they're playing. Yeah.
Right. And instead, it's all been about money. And that at this point in time is probably the worst thing baseball could possibly do to itself.
Wow. Okay, so we're going to cut to our first commercial break because this is just our intro. And this segment of Sports Econ 101 is still sponsored by Pacific Private Money, still providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding over 7.5%. In fact, last month's distribution was over 8%. Probably because with this coronavirus, a lot of people can't get bank loans, so they're going to private money. It doesn't get any more conservative than them. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Stay with us. You are listening to Sports Econ 101, and we are going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with Russell Jackman. Vern hopefully will show up pretty soon, but until he does, what's that? We don't need him.
We don't need him.
We always need Vern.
We've got plenty of things.
But he always add a little bit of extra limit.
No, that's true. He's the one legitimate sports figure out of the three of us.
Out of the three of us, yeah. Okay, so let's first talk baseball. Right, the major league owners, they were offering 80% of pay for a 72-game season. Now, this may be an old article by now, but
it is now, yeah.
Yeah,
now it's dropped down to 49 games, I think.
Yeah, but okay, so there was a time. Let's put it this way: there was a time when they were offering 80% of pay for a 72-game season. Well, I think I hear Vern coming on. And oh no, not yet. Okay, so
Pepperidge Farm, remember.
That's over. So a 72-game season, which basically is a little over 44% of a normal 162-game season. So just strictly from that, the owners are offering 80% of pay for 44% of the season. That's not unreasonable when you look at it just strictly at that, right? I mean,
that's a lot more than a lot of other Americans are getting paid, for, they're just being told at least you have a job, and some people are thrilled with that concept. And a number of industries have had to take severe cuts, across the board, not just, the rank and file workers, but even CEOs and the management, have taken 25%, 50% pay cuts.
And most of these guys get paid, I think the minimum was $500,000 for baseball? When you hit to the major league?
Yeah, I think it's 400,000, but you're something like that.
Something like that, yeah. So I don't know. I have a very hard time feeling sorry for people who make.
I think it's going the other way, Edward. I think it's going from not feeling sorry for them to actually being outraged.
Usually people are always outraged. They seem to outrage at management all the time and ownership.
But this is one, well, as I was saying earlier, when you hear basketball and you hear football and their concerns about coming back, 95% of them are safety based.
So what is the players' main? I mean, it's just strictly what we want 100% of our pay?
Yeah, they want a full season salary even if they're playing 49 games.
Yeah, I guess because they're looking, they're going, hey, it's not my fault. That,
Right.
You know?
Right. And you know, what they're mainly saying is our agents have told us we need to ask for a full amount or nothing.
Of course, the agents are doing that. Who do they represent? The players, and of course,
Themselves.
they're man themselves, exactly.
But South Korea showed that you can have baseball going on and adhere to safety rules, and it still works out.
How are they doing it? I mean, they're not wearing masks.
Well, first of all, no fans, obviously.
Okay.
That's the first thing. Second thing is that they're really into the distancing element of it. And if you think about baseball, that's the one sport where you really don't have any physical contact.
Unless you're sliding into second base or something. Yeah.
And, you know, that could be taken care of by just saying, you know what? No sliding. You know, just for you know what? I played hundreds of baseball games without sliding being enforced. I would say, first of all, what's the big deal about sliding?
Well, it's not so much sliding; it's contact with.
It's contact. Well, sliding will give you the contact. You got to tag the guy.
Yeah.
You know.
So what do they do? Have the catcher also stay back 6 feet?
Yeah, that's what they've been having anyway. Remember the Buster Posey rule. You know, you can't.
No. That's for block. But I'm talking about on a regular pitch. Are they having the catcher stay back 6 feet and catch the ball out of?
Well, if the catcher already has a mask, so how difficult would it be to cover his mouth?
Sure. What about the umpire?
And the umpire will have to wear a mask, and so will the players. You know, and if you have a no sliding rule, which, by the way, stealing bases is a dead concept anyway. So who's going to miss sliding? You know, for the most part.
Well, wait. When you say it's a dead concept, you're saying it's like. So you make it sound like it's not an important part of the game.
It isn't. Stealing is name me the steal leader last year in Major League Baseball.
Well, I know Ricky Henderson. No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And how many stolen bases did he have?
108 at the.
I don't think so. 108 steals
for when he made the record.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking last year.
Oh, I know. I was just kidding when I said Ricky Henderson, but so wait a minute though. I think it should be an important part because
but it's not.
But you take the force off. You put a guy in scoring position.
My friend, you were living in 2010 when the Giants were able to take small ball and win.
That's what the Cardinals did for probably 100 years.
But in the last 10 years, have you seen, really, at least in the last 5 years, have you seen small ball win anything? Small ball hasn't won anything since 2014.
Okay, so why do you think? Was it because guys get caught? They get caught.
No, it's because it's all about the home run. It's all about the home run. You either strike out or you get a home run.
Yeah, but if you got a guy on first. I mean, why not? If the odds are that he's going to get to second base, a base hit will score him. I mean,
because a home run will get you 2 runs, and if he gets picked off base, you get 0.
Yeah, but how many guys are hitting home runs?
There we have Vern. Looks like Vern is.
Okay, Vern looks like he's going to join us. Hey, there he is.
Here I am.
So Vern, we already did our first segment.
Okay, I've joined you already in progress.
It was the best segment ever. It was the best segment ever. We solved all the sports problems.
And we're almost ready for a commercial break on our second segment. We're just talking about baseball and how. Well, okay, we already talked about the problems there, but we got into the philosophy that Russell said, "I'm back in 2010" because he says small ball is like not a thing. He says sliding is not. He says stealing is not very important anymore.
Yeah, I'd say that
I disagreed with him on that.
To make things COVID safe, one thing you can do is eliminate sliding into bases and base stealing.
Yeah, but it got more than that. You said it was all about the long ball. Chicks dig the long ball.
Yeah, they do.
So, and I'm saying, wait a minute. If you got a guy on first base and you need a run, I mean, if you get him to second base, you take the force off, you get a runner in scoring position. What are the odds that he's actually going to, unless he's slow, that he's going to get, tagged out at second on a steal. So Russell was saying that the steal is like, it's not such a big deal anymore. What do you think?
In all due respect,
I need you on this one, Vern.
I think if you are not a power hitting team where you can sit back and wait for the 3-run Jimmy Jam, what else are you going to do when you need to scratch and claw for runs?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's essential. It's an option. I think it's vital, and I think you take it away, you're really affecting the strategy of the game.
I mean, how many guys hit home runs? I mean, yeah, you got a few power hitters, and there's more home runs than there were before. But I mean, a single, a double, a triple. I mean, these guys, you add them all up.
I asked Edward, and I'll ask you, Vern, who led the league in steals last year?
I said Ricky Henderson. Yeah.
Exactly. We don't know.
Okay, hold on, guys. We got to cut to our first commercial.
I mean, it's just like saying, okay, who won the Grapefruit League last year? Who won the Cactus League last year?
Yeah,
I mean, nobody knows.
Take that, Russell.
Know who led the league in steals.
Hey guys, hold on. Let's go to a commercial break here. Okay, we're talking hard baseball questions. In the first 100 years of the New York Yankees franchise, which team did they lose the most games to during the entire period? So basically, who was their nemesis is a good way of putting it. All right.
Okay.
Email Edward at SportsEcon101 the answer to that question, and don't touch that dial because we are going to be right back. All right, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, and Uncle Vern joined us along with Russell Jackman. First trivia question. We're talking hard baseball questions. In the first 100 years of the New York Yankees franchise, which if you remember started off as the Baltimore Orioles, and then the New York Highlanders, and then the New York Yankees for the last, 1,000 years. Which team did they lose the most games to during the entire period?
I'll say the Dodgers.
I'm going to say
No, it can't be the Dodgers because they only faced them during the World Series way back when.
Yeah, I'll say the Boston Red Sox.
See, that's what I would have thought. They're a close second. Actually, the Detroit Tigers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In exactly 1,900 games during this period, the Yankees lost 895 games to the Tigers, and they only lost 856 games to the Red Sox. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that they would have been the Tigers.
Interesting.
I would have thought
that's a good one. That one I'll have to remember.
Okay. Yeah, because I would have thought maybe it could have been like the A's because you had the Philadelphia A's, which was always in the American League, I think. Weren't they? I think so. Yeah, way back, Connie Mack and all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Okay, so Vern, so on the first segment, or the last segment, Russell and I were talking about, the Major League Baseball originally, a few weeks ago, was offering 80% of the pay for a 72-game season. So 80% of the pay for 44% of the normal 162 games. And Manfred is not confident that there's going to be a 2020 season. So, we're talking about how.
Yeah, neither am I.
Yeah, really. So, I mean, gosh, this could be like a 1994 strike year type of situation. And we're wondering, it's like, okay, the players being offered 80% of the pay for only 44% of the season. And it's like, it seems like that's kind of an appropriate type of pay scale. Right? I mean, if you work 50% of the time, you should get paid 50%.
Yeah, but Edward, as a businessman, what if you held up a piece of paper and go, what about this that you signed here in March, giving us 100%? What about this document that you signed and we signed? What about that one?
Well, I guess you're right on that, except that seemed to kind of go away when people, when players kind of said, I know I signed a contract, but I want to renegotiate. I mean, you're right. They did sign a contract for that. You know what, though? Also, sometimes
and not only did they sign this little piece of paper, there's this little thing called the coronavirus, and
exactly.
And who's at risk at getting it when they play? The players?
Yeah, the players have not raised safety as a concern, and if you see that South Korea has been able to have their season, and nobody's come down, heavy with the coronavirus. It shows that baseball can be played safely without endangering the players' lives.
Well, in all due respect, Mr. Jackman, that's South Korea. This is the United States.
But it shows it can be done. The game's the game.
How would you feel, Mr. Jackman, if your son, who doesn't make $1 million, maybe he's barely on this club as the 25th guy, and you got him running out there, day after day, bumping, chewing, chawing, yeah.
But they're not allowed to chew.
But how would you feel if your son was out there at risk of getting the coronavirus every time he goes out there?
Well, first of all, they aren't allowing them to spit any longer. They're not allowing them to have the physical contact any longer. As I was saying,
I understand not allowing them, but at some point, human nature will take over and go, well, I'm going to spit.
So far, that hasn't happened in Korea.
That's because they're more respectful.
Well, if maybe it's time for Americans to learn a little bit of respect for other people. And you know what?
Well, you bring that up. I mean, that now you're opening a can of worms to a whole different kind of.
But Vern,
as far as respecting one another. So
this is the point here. Okay, if my son was playing baseball and that was his career, and I knew that was the thing that he wanted to do most in life, and he was willing to take the risk. I mean, you go out to baseball, there's a risk that you're going to run into a center field wall, break your shoulder. There's,
football. I mean, football, they get hurt all the time.
Yeah, football and basketball, there are situations where you get seriously hurt. And there's also the fact that you can go to the grocery store and pick up COVID-19.
Yeah.
So life carries an inherent set of risks. You do what you can to mitigate those risks. You don't put people in purposeful way of risking them, which is why I'm saying get rid of sliding, get rid of steals, so that you don't have physical contact that way. And you know what? If my son would make $400,000 minimum for playing for 40 games, sign me up, because we'd be able to live off of that $400,000 for a couple of years. So
let me ask you something. Okay, so if you get rid of the steal, and let's say a guy's hitting a double, and he can't slide, I mean, how does he get into second base? I mean, what do you just allow him to get to second base, or you're not allowed to tag him with a ball? I mean, you're going to have a lot of injuries from that, aren't you?
From just guys standing into base? No, I don't think so. In fact, you probably reduce the number of injuries, because one of the largest places where guys get hurt in baseball is sliding.
Okay, but again, you got a situation. Guy hits a gapper, and he's maybe not the fastest guy in the world. And he's trying to stretch a single into a double, and
then maybe for at least a year you stay with the single, and so you're not going to have
it's so easy for us to say, but you're talking about guys who have played this game since they were 5 years old, and then all of a sudden, like that, in the flow of the game, with emotions and adrenaline high, you're going to make them actually think, oh boy, I better do a stand-up double here.
Yeah, exactly.
Close with it. And I just think the normal instincts are going to take over, and you will just have a tendency to slide.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to happen. I mean, these are not. These are just crazy times for them to think to think rationally like that.
And I don't think the sliding
of a game like that.
The slide, and then the sliding.
These are competitors.
Yeah, well, for the sliding part isn't going to be the big transfer of the virus. I mean, all you're talking about is a guy with a ball and a glove tagging somebody. I mean, maybe if the guy gets spiked or something, but I mean, there's not that many collisions at second base. And with all the emotions, I mean, you're not going to have any fans, so there'll probably be a little bit tendency to not be as excitable, I would think.
And in 2000,
yes, go ahead.
In 2012, they changed the rules of sliding into home because of Buster Posey's broken leg, and now you can't block the plate anymore. You can't. Basically, sliding into home has become sort of a completely changed circumstance than what you used to have for hundreds of years in baseball. Baseball proved it could change that. So I don't.
Well, okay. So maybe what you do is you actually change the way you can slide into second base, like something to do like what they did at home. Not just get rid of it completely, but you have to do a head first slide, or you can't do a head first slide. You can't block second base. I mean, you have to do a sweep tag, but again, I don't think that's where the virus transfer is going to happen. I mean, it's only going to be if it's a Len Dykstra, Mookie Wilson kiss when they collided in center field is when you're going to get the potential virus.
Well, that's the largest chance of contact in baseball, where you would have some, COVID.
Well, or maybe with the baseball itself, right? I mean, if people are handling the baseball, one hand versus another, right? The pitcher.
Well, but they'll probably be wearing gloves. That's
on their hand too.
Yeah.
Boy, I wonder how that's going to work.
Well, again, you haven't heard of any cases in South Korea of it being a problem.
And are the pitchers wearing gloves on their throwing hand?
I think so, or
Wow, really, man? I haven't seen that.
What's that going to do to the ball? Like it'll bring back the spitter. So
especially when your repertoire is that grip and just holding it
exactly
for certain pitches.
Or maybe
I'm just waiting for the day when I'm waiting for the day where I go on TV and I go, I've just been handed a copy and we've lost Russell Jackman. If he just hadn't slid into second base, he passed away as a result of a head-first slide. Russell Jackman will be missed. And I can't say it. But yeah, but it's fun to talk about. But dude, I mean, I just don't think we're going to have a baseball season to even.
Yeah, baseball's not comparing.
This is bad.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about safety. I think America would be willing to give them a break and say, okay, if it's just not safe, then we can't play this sport.
But like I said, baseball is not the safe part of it. It's really the money situation that's being the real issue, right?
And that's the anger. That's where the anger is coming from.
Well, I just did a story on this for TV about the COVID and the crowds and how do you get around it? And the bottom line is, until you come with a vaccine, the hangover to all of this can spread for years to come. And these guys are, one guy was talking about, well, you're going to have to maybe try and make it, more interactive, like put more gimmicks into the game, like a camera in an umpire's, mask, something so where you can actually, see the ball like coming at you, see what 100-mile-per-hour pitch.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So, stuff like
or
that.
Maybe it's time to institute robotic judges, like robotic umps.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they tried that in Santa Fe. Hey, guys, believe it or not, we're going to get to another commercial break here.
Another one? Okay.
Another one, yeah, going fast. So interestingly enough, we were talking about stolen bases, right? Coincidentally, just happen to have a trivia question on that. 17 stolen bases in a season would be pretty good total for a player. Which team set a record, not a great one, for stealing only 17 bases in an entire season? That would probably be Russell Jackman's team because they don't like to steal bases.
They don't like, yeah. Well, if Jackman was the manager, hey,
yeah, that's right.
You want to go to kangaroo court?
That's right.
Go ahead and steal and see what happens.
All right, stay with
We'll
us.
feel it in the wallet.
We're going to cut to a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. We are having a great time here. Edward Brown here, along with Russell Jackman and Fern Glenn. Second trivia question. 17 stolen bases in a season would be pretty good total for a player. Which team set a record for only stealing 17 bases in an entire season?
I'm just going to guess the Tampa Bay Rays.
No, I'll give you the year.
Okay, all right.
The 1949.
1949.
1949.
Indians.
And I'll say, no, National League.
National League team, 1949.
Yes, the Cardinals. Which is
Same
kind of funny.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny because they usually later on did the small ball quite a bit. Okay, so a couple of things here. Well, Russell will like this one because it's wrestling. WWE temporarily suspended television production after wrestler tested positive for the virus. So I wonder how that's going to affect, all these other sports where there's a little bit more contact, where suddenly it was like, holy smokes, somebody actually got the virus, and I mean, they didn't go into too much detail. We don't know if he got it from another wrestler or what.
I'm less surprised that somebody got the virus and way more surprised that Vince McMahon cared.
Ooh, shots fired again.
Yeah.
Have you ever met Vince?
The one who called them all essential employees and basically bribed the officials down in Florida with Linda McMahon's help, since she's part of the small business administration, the head of the small business
yes.
to push that through to make them essential employees. And there's absolutely no way, as much as I love wrestling, there's no way a wrestler is an essential employee by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, wait a minute. I thought that they were all independent contractors.
Exactly.
So there's a distinct difference between being an independent contractor and being a W-2 employee.
That's a very good point, but they were considered essential. The business was considered essential down in Florida, so they could continue recording even though they're doing it with independent contractors.
Gotcha. So it had to do more with the essential business rather than essential employees.
Yet the employees are the business. I mean, you know, it's...
Well, the independent contractors are, but wait a minute. So now, if I remember correctly, you have to spend, is it 75? It was 75% on, quote, payroll. They're not on payroll. That would
right.
That would not be qualified.
That's one thing about Vince McMahon, is he's incredible about changing the books. So he's able to show that there's 75% expenses in setting up the arena and promoting the matches and putting it on TV.
Okay, for those employees, those are actually employees.
Yes,
W-2 employees. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't say you have to spend them on the wrestlers per se. It just has to be employees of your organization. Yeah, that's how you do it. Very smart.
I'm surprised that that Vince McMahon didn't find a way to take that wrestler, whoever he or she was, take him to a back alley and just have him shot, so that they, you know, say, "Oh, he didn't die from COVID. He didn't die from COVID."
So, in other words, you're promoting shooting anybody who's got the virus, right?
So they come up with some other means of death? Yes. And it wouldn't be the first time Vince covered up a death in the WWE.
I've heard that before. And I'm guessing you've never met him personally.
No.
I've met him twice and the daughter once.
Really?
Yeah, I met, well, it was at a press conference for the XFL. That was the first time I met him. And then the second time I met him and the daughter was at a media availability when WrestleMania 2, when WrestleMania came to San Francisco.
Oh yeah, a few years ago.
And that was when she, the daughter, was explaining about how the whole thing worked, about how it was a storyboard and it was an arc of a story that we were telling throughout the year, and the arc ends with WrestleMania.
Interesting.
Yeah, which isn't really that case anymore anyway, because it's the story arc is like taking a 4-course meal and throwing it in a food processor. It's all chopped up now, and there really isn't any cohesion or any. If you ask me, there's no real storyline going on in the WWE right now. COVID just destroyed all that, and they're not doing much to pick it up.
Well, of the three of us, you would know.
You would know, so exactly. But, moving on for just a minute here, Roger Goodell wants Kaepernick back in the NFL. Which team do you think would be the best fit?
That's a direct quote from him?
I believe so.
Yeah, I saw what he said, and we ran what he said, but all I heard him say was that we were wrong, that we didn't listen 4 years ago. But I have never ever heard him.
Okay, so maybe we're just
Kaepernick.
Okay. Well, we will just infer that that's what he was thinking.
No, the latest is that he's encouraging some teams to try to
that's what I thought.
Hire him, bring him on.
Pete Carroll, the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, said he got a call from another coach of an unnamed team about the conversation and the meeting that he had with Colin Kaepernick in 2017 when he was thinking about bringing him into Seattle. Eventually, it didn't happen, but the discussions are going on because the pressure is there to bring him in, and more than the dog and pony. Well, we gave him a shot. He ran out there, but a legitimate chance to make the team. Because I got to believe he's better than a lot of those guys who can't drop back and chew at the same time.
Yeah, and they'll probably, he'd probably be a second-string quarterback, don't you think? Or do you think
you're only 1 or 2 hits away from starting.
True. And then, I'll tell you, the pressure would be on him quite a bit to really show that he's got it, rather than just be the token, agitator who got brought back. So to
Well,
speak.
I think he did all right the first time. Got his team to inside the 10 with a chance to win the Super Bowl. But nobody wants to talk about that.
Yeah, but that was
almost a decade ago.
Well, 2000. When was that?
13.
Yeah.
12.
Wow,
13,
gosh,
yeah.
not long ago.
Yeah.
I'm still upset about that. Stupid calls. What was Harbaugh thinking? Very frustrating. Very frustrating.
and Crabtree has never amounted to anything since then. He faded into obscurity as well. Yeah, no, it should have gone to Gore. Gore should have gotten.
Yeah, or Kaepernick run it. I mean, when you got a guy with legs like that, you roll out. It gives you all kinds of options.
You might remember that Randy Moss was wide open on the other side of the field, and all he had to do was just throw it up, and he would have grabbed it.
Randy Moss?
Randy Moss? No. Randy Moss.
Yeah, Randy Moss was on the 49ers.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I remember him being on the Raiders for a bit,
Yeah.
but I don't remember him being on the 49ers at all.
Sure. Yeah, when Harbaugh was coaching. Sure.
Whoa, my gosh, my memory, man. I tell you, you turn 35 and suddenly your memory goes. Yeah, I turned that 25 years ago. All right, guys, what else you want to cover here for another 5 minutes before we have to cut the break? What's on your mind?
Well, I do think that it's going to be interesting to see, because we just had Ezekiel Elliott come down with COVID.
Yeah, Ezekiel Elliott and a few members of the Houston Texans. Yeah.
I'm sorry to contrast you, Vern, because I love your football knowledge, but you are wrong that Randy Moss was not on the 49ers in 2013.
I know. I'm trying to put that together.
He's not. You're probably thinking of Anquan Bolden.
No.
Yeah, I'm looking at the roster right now.
I've been to practices and I've seen him with the team. I've been to Santa Clara.
Well, I'll have to show you I'll have to send you the link.
2012 season.
He wasn't there for when they went to the Super Bowl. I'm looking at the roster right now. It's Colin Kaepernick, Frank Gore, Bruce Miller, Anquan Bolden, Vernon Davis, Anthony Davis, Joe Staley, Mike Capati, Jonathan Goodwin, and Alex Boone. Those are your offensive starters for the 2013 San Francisco 49ers.
Was he even on the roster?
No, he wasn't.
That's the thing. Yeah, so maybe he wasn't. I just never remember Randy Moss being on there.
I think you are thinking about the Raiders.
The Raiders, for sure. I remember him going there.
You can look it up.
That's okay. Hey, he said,
is my memory that bad? I mean, I'm a 49er fan, born and bred, and I was like, I don't remember Randy Moss ever playing for 49ers.
You know what? Russell's been a 49er fan since Bob St. Clair. So,
well, I can say this: I saw O.J. Simpson take handoffs from Steve Spurrier, so that in itself does say how long a 49er fan I've been.
Yeah, but you're still a young guy, though. You got to go back to the Y.A. Tittle.
Yeah, no, I was. So yeah.
Actually, do you remember we had Bob St. Clair on a few years ago? Obviously, he's passed.
In the 2012 season, he played 16 regular season games. He had 28 catches for 434 yards. His longest was 55 yards. Caught 3 touchdowns.
But those not on the foot. Not
those are and they went to the Super Bowl, January of 2013.
Wow, this okay. Well,
I'm sorry if you guys don't remember, but I'm looking at his stats right here.
Wow.
Look up Randy Moss, San Francisco 49ers, 2012, and you'll see the numbers.
Oh, I'm going to have to go with Vern on this one. I don't remember.
You don't play 16 regular season games, and then you don't play in the Super Bowl at all? No.
No, but even if he, well, okay, gotcha. But boy, I mean, 16 games. That's kind of like it's not like he showed up in one game and Russell and I forgot about it. It's 16 games. I mean, how do you? That's embarrassing. I totally had forgotten.
I mean, I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I know Randy Moss was on that roster of that 2012 team.
Well, especially if you're
that went to the 2013 Super Bowl.
Yeah, especially if you're interviewing him, you kind of know where he's playing. Okay, well, we trust you. We trust you, right, Russell?
I'm
Russell's stammering at the moment.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the roster right now for 2012 here at ProFootballReference.com. I'm looking at the 2012 roster, and he's not there on that one either. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's just Crabtree and Mario Manningham.
Wow. So someone's Google is wrong.
Yeah, either what site are you looking for to show?
I've looked up 2 Pro Football Stats. Just type in Randy Moss 49ers 2012, and his stats will pop up.
Okay, well, we're going to cut to a break, and we want the audience to chime in on this one too. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. Whether you know or whether you don't know Randy Moss being on the 49ers at any point in time. Okay, here's our third trivia question. We're talking hard baseball. Who was the first pitcher in Major League history to lose 20 or more games in 2 consecutive seasons?
Wow. This is a known pitcher, right? This is
you'll know the name, but and I'm not sure if he's a Hall of Famer. Losing 20 games doesn't usually make you one, but
Jim Rome used to say that you have to be a good pitcher to lose 20 games because how would you be left in there? Left in there,
yeah, that's true. So you'll know the name. He had kind of a different name than typical. I don't think his mom named him this first name. It's more of a nickname, and you have to go back in time for this one. Okay, but it is past 1900 and before 1950. Okay, so here's our trivia question. Who was the first pitcher in Major League history to lose 20-plus games in 2 consecutive seasons? Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Russell Jackman and Vern Glenn. Third trivia question. Who was the first pitcher in Major League history to lose 20-plus games in 2 consecutive seasons? If I give you the year, I don't think it really helped, but it's 1928 and 1929.
Yeah,
with the Red Sox. Yeah, it's you'll know the name, but it's not a typical one you'd think of. That's why I said it's hard baseball presence. Red roughing.
No, sorry. I mean, if you could put me in front of a firing squad, and I would not. I would not know that at all.
Okay, well, like I said, we had hard baseball questions only because of what was going on with Major League Baseball. We had to kind of stick it to them by having these hard.
Here's that same pro Football Reference. Is that what you were looking at?
Yeah, .com.
ProFootballReference.com. 2012, San Francisco. War number 84. 16 games. Started 2. 50 catches. 28 receptions. 434 yards. He averaged 15.5 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns.
All right. Well, okay, guys.
It's right here at the very bottom of. If you look at his, at the very bottom, there it is.
All right, guys. We have to cut out for today. Thank you very much, Fern, for clearing that up for us. Here's our thoughts for the day. When life gives you lemons, freeze them and throw them as hard as possible.
There you go.
At the people making your life difficult. And my therapist told me the way to achieve true inner peace is to finish what I start. So far, I finished 2 bags of M&Ms and a chocolate cake. I feel better already. All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.